Anybody familiar with my channel knows that I love building 12-volt battery boxes. I've built a bunch of them over the lifetime of my YouTube channel. However, in my quest to find the most compact and convenient option possible, I've designed and built this. This is what I call the battery topper. So instead of trying to fit the battery inside a battery case, why not come up with a design that sits right on top of the battery and gives you all the same connections? For example, on the left-hand side, we have a voltmeter with 2 USB-C ports and a USB-A port, and I love that these have their own power switch to turn them on and off. And then next to that, we have a 12-volt socket. Moving to the right, I have 4 Anderson power pole connections. These ones are rated for 20 amps each. These ones are rated for 30 amps each. And then finally, I have an Anderson SB50 connection that's built right into the case. Now mounted to the top of the box, I have a 15 amp smart solar charge controller from Victron. Now in order to use this, I just take this pigtail, connect it to one of the Anderson ports, and then I just connect my solar up to this pigtail here. Another thing that I love is that this is so compact that it still lets you use the stock battery strap, so you still have an easy way to carry it around. Now I mentioned earlier that this is something that I designed and built, and that's because this is a 3D printed box with an integrated lid. I've had this concept floating around my brain for the last few years, and I finally decided to purchase a 3D printer about a month ago, and after hours of learning 3D modeling software, I came up with this version. Now this is specifically designed for this battery here. I purchased this Watt Cycle 100 amp hour mini battery because it's super compact and it comes in at a good price. And so this just sits right on top of that battery. Now my original plan was to have some sort of double-sided sticky tape on the bottom of the topper to hold it in place. But after I got all the wiring in place, you can see that me trying to lift it up, it doesn't want to lift up. And it's just super secure on there. So I don't think I'll have to add any sort of adhesive between the battery and the topper. Now, one reason I opted for the smart version of this battery is because you have Bluetooth connectivity that gives you a lot more information than just this voltmeter. For example, you have the state of charge, you can see the battery temperature, you have the voltage, amperage, and wattage, and of course you have the ability to turn on and off the charge and discharge MOSFETs. I simply use 4 screws to secure the lid. Once you remove those screws, you can see inside. Now let's go ahead and take a closer look at inside the battery topper. Now just remember, this is a small space with a lot of wires, so it looks complicated, but it's fairly simple. Just remember, positive to positive, negative to negative. So right here, we have our main positive battery terminal. Then I have this 2-gauge jumper wire that goes over to the positive fuse block. Now each one of these front connections has both a positive and negative wire. So all the positive wires go to each one of these points on the fuse block, and then all the negative wires go over and tie into the negative terminal on the battery. If anyone's interested in putting one of these together, I will have a full parts list down in the video description. Now this is what the topper looks like fresh off the 3D printer along with the lid. Now I've designed this to have 4 holes on the front for these different accessories. For example, you can put a 12-volt socket in here, you can put USB ports in here, and these both get attached with these rings that go on these threads, and they usually come with those, so they hold them in place. Now for the Anderson SB50, this just pops right into this design here. So you just click it in place, and then there's 2 screw holes to screw it in, and then that's secure. So lots of different options here. I wanted to just leave these open so you can put whatever you want. So let's say you're interested in the battery topper. How do you buy one? Well, the good news is I'm actually not selling them. I'm going to provide the STL files for free. After a lot of thought, I've decided that instead of doing the printing and selling and shipping of all these, and I'm only one person with one 3D printer, there's no way I can keep up with the demand. I think it's best to provide the STL files to download at no cost, and then you guys can print it on your own 3D printers. So if you check out the link down in the video description, you'll find the STL files. Because this is a larger print, what if you have a 3D printer that's too small to print this, or you don't have a 3D printer at all? Well, there are actually some online affordable 3D printing services. I'll include the links to them down in the video description. Essentially, you submit the STL file, you choose your filament type and the color, they print it out and ship it straight to your door. So it's pretty cool that you can have one of these even if you don't have a 3D printer. Now for this particular project, I opted to go with PETG filament versus PLA. PETG has some advantages. It is UV resistant, it can handle much higher temperatures, and it's very strong. And it's super affordable. But just to demonstrate here, I can really push on it. You can twist it, and you can even hit it. And this is only 20% infill, so you can go even higher if you want it stronger, but I think 20% infill is just fine. I just wanted to do a short solar demo to show you how easy it is to connect up a solar panel to the Victron charge controller. This Victron 7515 is good for about 200 watts. Now for the actual connections, you have your battery positive and negative, which are tied into this Anderson power pole port here. And then for your solar input, it's connected to the PV positive and negative. Now since the Victron charge controller is rated for about 200 watts, overpaneling it slightly with the ZooPower 230 watt bifacial panel is an excellent option just to give you that little boost in performance. Now I will say the solar performance right now with this afternoon thunderstorm is pretty junky, so it's not even worth checking the output. Now of course, if solar is not available, you can charge with a normal LFP battery charger. My 20 amp charger here has Anderson power pole on it, so all I have to do is connect it into one of these ports and it will start charging. The benefit of having these Anderson ports, all three of these are both input and output, meaning you can charge and discharge the battery through all three sets of those ports. Now the reason I designed this setup is I just wanted something super compact. Last year I built this battery box, and it actually uses a similar sized battery, but you can see it just takes up that much more space. And that's just because there's just so much open room inside the case. So I was thinking, well, how do I remove all of that extra space? And well, sticking it right on top was the way to do it. Now there are some advantages to having a heavy-duty battery case like this. I mean, this thing is going to be somewhat water resistant. You can stack things on top of this. It's going to be a little bit more rugged. And something like this isn't going to be quite as durable, but it like takes up half the space. Now guys, this has been a super fun and exciting project for me, kind of just working out the details in my brain and then getting it into an actual product. Now, if you guys like 3D printing and batteries, this is like the ultimate fun project. So if anybody ends up building this, I'd be really excited to see your results. So make sure you email me your build with pictures. And also, if someone has a lot of 3D modeling experience and they'd like to tweak this and make it a little bit better, I'm totally open to that. I don't have a ton of experience there. So email me, let me know what you'd like to change or how you'd like to change it. We can work through a version 2 or version 3. I can send you the original files. So I don't know. I think this is kind of a start of a new type of product series. I think this could bring a ton of different ideas to the market, and I really hope that some companies come out with something that's something a little bit more durable, like an injected mold that would just fit onto the top of their batteries. I mean, we did kind of see this with the Dr. Prepare battery that had the built-in hub, but it was very limited, and this just adds so much more to a product. So let me know what you guys have to think about this. Remember, all the files are listed down in the video description. And before I end the video, I will say at the very end here, I will include a detailed wiring walkthrough of how this is assembled and put together. So that will be here in just a minute. Thanks for checking out the video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Now, walking through the components, the first thing you're going to need is this 8-circuit fuse block. Now, there is one modification I made to this. You can see there's a screw hole like this on this side, and I cut it off on this side just to give myself a little bit more room inside the case. The fuse block is mounted to the battery using double-sided sticky tape. I use 3M VHB tape. It is extremely sticky, and you can see it's right next to this edge of the positive terminal, and that's to give you as much space between this connection and the negative terminal. And then also you just have just a little bit of space here on the back, so it's not going to be flush against the battery topper. So with the fuse block mounted in place, the next thing was to cut each one of these wires to the length that was needed. So I set the battery topper on top, I installed these ports here, and then I basically cut each one of the positive wires to the proper length so they lined up with each one of these circuits. So with the topper removed from the battery, it's a little easier to see the positive and negative wires. So starting with the voltmeter and USB ports, I use 12 gauge wire. The 12 volt socket, I also use 12 gauge wire. And then the first set of Anderson power pole connections, I use 12 gauge wire. So these 4 connections are rated for 20 amps continuous. And so I used 4 20 amp fuses, and you can see that on the fuse block later. Now for the negative wires, basically they are all 12 gauge wire, and they are all tied into this one connection. I'll show you guys that here in a minute. Now for this final set of Anderson power pole, I used 10 gauge wire, which is a little bit thicker, and it supports up to 30 amps. So both these positive and these negative are 10 gauge wire, and I just wanted to be able to source a little bit more current from these, and that's why I use a little bit larger wires. So you'll see two 30 amp fuses that I use for those. Now as for the Anderson SB50 connection, these are rated at 50 amps. So to support that, I used 6 gauge wire going directly to the negative terminal of the battery. And then for the positive side, because I had 2 remaining slots on my 8 circuit fuse block, I went with 2 10 gauge wires in parallel. They're crimped into the same connector here. And so each one of these can support 30 amps or 60 amps combined. Now to make things as simple as possible for the negative wiring, basically what I did is I cut all of them to go to this length here. So this is the shortest one, and then they all get a little bit longer. I stripped back the insulation and I shoved them into this 2 gauge 5/16 ring terminal that connects to the negative terminal on the battery. And I used a hydraulic crimper to crimp it all in place, and then this heavy duty heat shrink. Now for the Anderson SB50 connection, this also goes to the negative terminal of the battery. So I only have these 2 connections on the negative terminal. Now the final wire that we need to discuss is the jumper wire from the main positive terminal to the connection on the fuse block. So this is 2 gauge wire, 5/16 on this end, 1/4 inch on this end. Now I found it easiest to route the negative wires first, so they're just out of the way. So you can see I have both of the negative wires going to the negative terminal, and then I put this plastic cap on to prevent short circuits as I'm wiring this whole thing up. During that process, I've also screwed in the Anderson SB50 connection. You see it just barely sticks out here on the front. And so all the negative wires are done. All we have to do is wire up the positive wires. So I just finished connecting all of the positive wires. They are connected to the proper fuse location. So the final step is connecting the jumper between the main battery connection and the fuse block. So we're going to connect this side first. We don't want this flapping around being a live connection. So we'll attach this. I'm just going to do finger tight for now, just so it holds it in place. Now we're going to go over this wire, and then we're going to go under that wire. And we are going to take the screwdriver, hold it in place, and then we should be able to screw it in. Okay, there we go. That'll do it for now. I'll come back and tighten all these with a torque wrench. Now, if you end up wanting to mount the solar charge controller to the top, all I did was I drilled 2 holes that were slightly smaller than these screws, and then I mounted it in place. And you can see that it actually holds pretty good. So that's the charge controller. Now you'll notice that the handle I had connected to one side, it goes on the inside. So it's best to route the handle and put this in place down on the battery connection and then install the lid. So I'm going to install the handle. So you just lift up on the battery box, slide it into place, and then once it's in place, you can install the handle in this slot and in this slot, and then you screw down the lid. Now this is the finished product. I have the lid screwed down, and then I have the handle strap going through these here, and you can see that it works perfect. Just enough room to grab on, but also there's no flex in the lid at these 2 points.